I was an 8-minute drive to the next house. I was so excited. I was on a gravel road and I didn't make the turn. There was a little curve. I didn't make the turn. I slid off the road. I hit this tree, knocked it clean over, threw my car in reverse, backed up onto the road, drove into the front yard of this house door, 10:48 at night. This lady comes to the house. She's like, what the hell just happened? I'm like, hi, my name's Dennis. I'm a college student from South Dakota. I just want to
No, cool, awesome. So you guys, we have an awesome guy here. I guess, do you want to take a minute to introduce yourself?
It would be my pleasure. Hello, Southwestern family. I am a proud alumni, and I'm excited to be here with Krystal today and just share a little bit. My name is Dr. Dennis Willert. I'm a chiropractor in Brookings, South Dakota, and Gold Star for any of you who know where that is, because we're way up in the northern cold country. It was 1 degree this morning when I came to the office. So we're off to a great start, and it's going to be a great day.
Oh my God, I love it. It's not even that cold out here in Nebraska. That is crazy. Well, so I guess my first question is, I would love it if you could share a little bit about your Southwestern story, like how you found out about the program, like what kind of made you curious about it, what were some of the challenges, your apprehensions, all that good stuff.
All right. I love this story because it's my story, and it's a little crazy one. I get to blame it all on Virgie Sanford. It's all her fault. She's the reason why I am where I am and how I turned out the way I did, along with my parents and probably my siblings helping out along the way. But I give Virgie all of the credit, because without her, I wouldn't probably be where I am today. And without the Southwestern family, probably wouldn't have achieved the level of success that I have without them. So I was a really snot-nosed, ornery jock of a college recruit, kind of out of Dakota State University in Madison, South Dakota. And Virgie was trying to fill her team for the 99 season. And I was looking for a couple of last-minute scrappers. And she picked my name off a board. I was active in the student senate and was active in the math and science club back at Dakota State. And Virgie sat me down with a group of my peers at Dakota State for the first interview, and invited us. And we thought it was interesting to stick around for the second interview. So I did the second interview, and then we had to sit down one-on-one. And she really pulled out of me the what I wanted out of a summer and what I thought the program could do for me, just to help me grow as an individual, running my own business, because I wanted to be a chiropractor, and what's it like to run your own business and stuff like that. And so this all happened the last 20 days of the semester. So I was recruited in May, or well, technically the end of April, first weeks of May.
That is so crazy. And it's funny because a lot of our greats in Southwestern end up being people who were selected in that last little stretch of the school year. That's awesome. And so maybe you can talk a little bit about what were some of your hesitations, or what did you think that your biggest challenges were going to be before the summer started, and then how did your first summer go?
So let's just be real. My very, very first concern, because I was very vain, was my car. I had a really nice car, and Virgie's like, you don't want to take a nice car on the book field. It's going to get trashed. I'm like, no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And she's like, no, it won't be. And so as it was, we got past that fear. I had always been adventurous. I had spent my first semester of college between my sophomore and my junior year of college, or freshman and sophomore year, excuse me, in London and in Paris, France, and just flew there, kind of on a whim, hung out, and then flew back. So I wasn't afraid of challenge or unique opportunities. It was just what was in it for me. And I was really selfish about it. And my parents were terrified that I was going to go to this cult of selling books and somebody was going to like stuff me in the back of a van and harvest my organs. And like, it was really, really scary to them that I was going to be maturing into an adult. Like I was going to move across the country and I was going to run my own business and I was going to figure out how to make my own money. And mind you, this is all pre-cell phone. This is all pre-Facebook. Like this is in a world that you guys don't even know, that you didn't even know. And we did, like, we just went out and we sold some books. And of course there was a lot of fear of unknown. When it all came down, I was the only student from Dakota State that ended up. So I wasn't going to the book field with my buddies. I wasn't going to the book field with my best friend. I had met Virgie and spent some time with her, and I trusted her personality, her character to lead and guide me on the book field. And I trusted her without question that this was going to be a great summer. And it was. My roommate, Cole Nampkin, and I lived with Seth Tupper. For those of you in the northern regions here, Seth Tupper is now one of the lead reporters for the public radio here in South Dakota Public Radio. He's a huge broadcaster, does amazing things. Seth has gone on and moved up through his military career, has done incredible things in the military. And I had an HQ that we were fiercely competitive. Seth was his second year. Cole and I were our first year. And Cole and I, man, we pushed into each other hard. And every week we had, the internal organizational competitions, pie in your eye and different things like that. And Cole figured out way earlier in the summer how to sell units before I did. I didn't understand what I was doing. I didn't know my sales speeches. I was a wreck. And seriously, my fourth week of being on the book field, I called Virgie. I'm like, I'm quitting. This sucks. I can't sell anything. I'm not making any money. And she said, time out. This is on a Wednesday. She goes, pack up your crap, get in the car, drive up. And we were out in Pennsylvania, middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania. And she told me to drive 2 hours north and go follow one of the senior org leaders, Darren Peterson. And I went and I sat with this guy, met him at his HQ, 7 o'clock in the morning. I left my HQ at 4 o'clock in the morning to get there on time. And I watched this guy it's just like Mort says, right? You just follow the words on the paper and people buy stuff. And they did. And I watched this guy just sit back, no rush, no fuss, no muss, sell 225 units in a day. And we quit at 9 o'clock so that I could get my butt on the road and get back home because I wasn't getting home till midnight. And I went back that Friday and I had my best Friday and my best Saturday to date, back to back, 120 units in 2 days. And it took all of the stress off me to just use the words, go door to door, no's mean no's, some no's mean yes, and just keep finding the ponies, because that's where those units came from. And Cole and I, from that point on, it was fierce competition. I had a big hill to climb, but he and I finished 51st and 52nd in the company that year as roommates.
That is so funny. That's so awesome. Very cool. Well, so I love that story of following a student manager and being like, I'm ready to quit. And then like, so you're telling me it works? The system works? I love that. So maybe.
And they showed me.
Yeah, it did. Totally. And I was wondering, maybe you could tell a little bit more about just kind of, so like the pathway, so like following graduation, so like the summer comes to a close, and just like maybe you could share a little bit more about like just your journey there afterwards. Like obviously you finished up school, and maybe you could just walk us through that a little bit more.
Sure. So finished up the 99 season, got my trip to Sizzler, had a blast in Cancun, had a bookman body. It was great. Then I was going to come back as a second-year student manager, recruit a team, and just life circumstances and family stuff came up. I chose to spend my senior year as that summer away with family and help my family out. But never lost sight of what all the basic principles that Southwestern taught me, getting up early. Ironically, there are still periods in my life where I cold shower. There are the morning affirmations and reading good, powerful books in the morning. And so I took that beyond just my undergrad degree and started pursuing my chiropractic degree. And I went back to chiropractic school back in fall of 2001. I took about an 18-month hiatus from college and chiropractic to actually go work in Washington, D.C. for the U.S. Senate. And I worked out there for a while, but after 9/11 and everything, I just got back on my career path that I felt like I was being called to, and the gifts that God has given me, that was a better fit for me long term. And we took all these principles of work ethic and grinding and looking for the positive in every situation, and recognizing that a bad test didn't mean I was going to have a bad semester, or that a bad grade meant I was going to get a bad score in the entire program. It just taught me so much more about how to handle setbacks. And I loved what Virgie taught me one of the first weeks on the book field. And she always said a setback was nothing more than a setup for the comeback. And so always keeping that top of mind of, if I just do my part, if I studied the words in the book, if I took the tests and I showed up for class and I did what 1 or 2 or 3% of the population does, I'm going to be successful like 1 or 2 or 3% of the population. If I do what the 80% do, I'm going to be like 80%. I don't want to be like 80%. I don't think book people are part of the 80% club. I think they're the 5% club.
Oh, no, that's awesome. I loved what you said about, you have to correct me if I said it wrong. Setbacks are just a setup for a comeback, right? That's one of the big lessons. That's awesome. I'm just going to add that to my own self-talk list real quick. So probably my last little stretch of questions here kind of circle around, so now you own your own chiropractic business, which is awesome. So fast forward sometime, and so maybe you can talk a little bit more about a little bit more on the different principles that kind of impact just your chiropractic business, maybe.
Okay, I love that question because it's crazy for anybody who's ever tried to run a business or been in business. There's just a lot to juggle. If for your students that are listening to this who've been through a program or their second or third year, they know about tracking their mileage. They know about keeping track of their receipts for groceries and keeping that cost of living down, because you're out in the book field. Like, how do you eat healthy? How do you eat nutrition? How do you put the right food in your body and still perform at a really high level, get good sleep? How do you manage those minutes? And then as a chiropractor, I run a small business too. I just have a very technical skill about how to help influence people's health. And I could be just like the barbershop next door, where the gals there have gone to barber school and they cut hair. And they learn how to cut hair on different people's heads and different shaped heads and how to make people look great. it's a very technical skill. And if what you'll find is almost all of us are going to go through life and we're going to learn a very technical skill in our college education. Might be engineering, might be mathematics, might be early education. I mean, who knows? But each of the principles of that have a foundation in how do you manage your time? How do you manage money? And in this crazy world that we live in right now, more than anything, about hearing a customer's need, a spouse's need, one of your children's needs. And this is why I think Southwestern really helped me become a better dad, a better husband, mother, a better son to my parents, because it taught me how to not only get rid of my agenda, but be there and be present with those that I interact with and help them get what they need. And what I have found since working with Southwestern in '99 all the way through to today is if I have my focus every single day on helping other people get what they want, I will get what I want. And the coolest thing about it is, with especially being in the chiropractic world now, my problems seem big when I come to the office. But before I come in the door, I just leave all of my problems in a nice little box on the dash because I'll deal with them later. And when I come to work and I have to deal with clients who are dealing with cancer or have lost a spouse or lost a son or dealing with intense pain or diabetic neuropathy, my problems get pretty small. And it's just great to serve. And I think Southwestern is at the very center of that. And I have to really, again, go back to Virgie of being my mentor, my teacher, my go-to person of, hey, this is how you lead first with your heart to get what you want. And yes, you're going to go to Southwestern and you learn sales talks, and there are specific words that help you become successful. But it's the intent behind what you're doing, right? Are you just there to say the words, or are you really listening and using the words that Southwestern teaches you to help people solve their problem? And I think that's my favorite part of being with Southwestern, is that they just taught me how to use 2 ears and 1 mouth and use them in the right proportion to serve people. And I just happen to sell some books on the side and make some money.
No, I love that you're like in the right proportion, right? Ears to mouth. I love it. Very cool. No, that's awesome. And so my ultimate last question is, so for the kids who maybe are interested in going like medical or having their own chiropractic business, or that haven't done the program yet, like haven't gone on to do their first summer, like what is the message that you have to prospective students who are like, I don't know, I'm learning about this program, there's some kid that told me about it at this informational session, like what are some words of wisdom you have to share with them?
All right, so if you're looking pre-med, pre-law, pre-dentistry, pre-professional, if you're going to school to be a school teacher, a mechanic, an English professor, I don't know, there's 1,000 degrees that I don't even know that exist, that didn't exist when I went to school. What I would say is you're going to live the game of life. And you have been equipped with a set of skills to this point that have gotten you this far. And my first question would be, are they good enough? Are they good enough skills to get you where you want to be? And have you figured out where you want to be? Because great, you're going to go to school and become a doctor or a dentist, but then what? The biggest problem with my colleagues and my professional colleagues is they have this thing called lifestyle creep. They suddenly think because they're making $100,000 or $200,000 a year that they should live that way. And Southwestern taught me how to manage money. They taught me how to manage time. That made me a better student going after my professional degree. And so I would say for anybody pursuing any degree in this program, it's going to make you better at whatever you do in life, because whether you really grasp it or not, if you get married and have kids and have a spouse and buy a home, you're running a small business. Your product are your children, your key stakeholders, your financially invested stakeholders are your spouse. And you have to learn how to manage this money that you guys go out and earn every day and exchange the minutes of your life for, to run your business at home, put food on the table, keep a roof over your head, pay your mortgage, make your car payment. You have to learn how to manage time and money. And what's even better about what Southwestern does is they help you crystallize those goals, whether it's for the summer and trying to sell units in this particular amount of time, trying to hit more to 1,000 units a week. And what does that look like? How many units do I need to sell in the 6 days I'm on the field, to how many units do I need to sell in my 4 work shifts during the day, so that I can achieve my goals. And this program isn't for everybody. It isn't. But for those that want more out of life than just what they have, this is the best training ground to help you crystallize the why behind the what and discover what you really want in life. That answers the question?
Oh yeah, you totally did. I love that. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, because I'm thinking about it in this. So for those of you who don't know, so Kesmond, our beloved Kes, he is actually the nephew of Dennis here, which is pretty cool. So he went out, he had a great summer, and we are just so lucky to have him. So that's awesome. Very cool. Well, anything else that you want me to add to it? But otherwise, I think you did a great job answering the questions.
Well, I'll be frank. When you go to the book field, it is not all fun. It is not all Mai Tais and Yahtzee. I drove from Nashville, Tennessee after sales school. I drove from Nashville, Tennessee to Du Bois, Pennsylvania without a radio. And when I got onto the book field, and that first day of trying to find a place to live, and then, okay, we're going to work the next day, like, I had picked the pinpoint of, this is where I'm starting, this is where we're going to start the summer, right here on this dot. The first morning, I was so nervous. I blew past my starting point. I ended up in some cul-de-sac. The clock was typing down. It was like, 7:58 in the morning. Like, okay, I got to knock on my first door by 8 a.m. I got to find a house. And I literally slammed my car into park in front of this little cul-de-sac of houses. I fell out of the car. I tripped over the concrete. I stumbled and bear crawled to the front door. I knocked in that first door at 7:59, and literally Mrs. Jones was so taken back by my discombobulation. She's like, I've seen the book people before. Here's $5. Go buy lunch. And she gave me $5, and that was my first door, first day, first minutes on the book field. And I'm like, when that happened, I just was like, okay, Virgie wasn't kidding. Like, there's a lot of grace on this book field. And we have some tremendous highs of things that happened in the summer. I hit a tree this big around. It was 9:30 at night. I had set up a series of appointments at 9:30, 10, and 10:30 at night for some bigger families. And Virgie had told me, you just book appointments late into the evening and you make those sales after 9 o'clock. And I had just sold 72 units at one house. I had an appointment at 10 o'clock. I was an 8-minute drive to the next house. I was so excited. I was on a gravel road and I didn't make the turn. There was a little curve. I didn't make the turn. I slid off the road. I hit this tree, knocked it clean over, threw my car in reverse, backed up onto the road, drove into the front yard of this house door, 10:48 at night. This lady comes to the house. She's like, what the hell just happened? I'm like, hi, my name's Dennis. I'm a college student from South Dakota. I just want to let you know that I just smashed a tree in the front yard. It looks like a really nice tree. It's about yay big. I said, what do you think it's worth to you? And she said, oh, I don't know. I said, you suppose a new tree would be $100 or $200? She's like, well, I suppose maybe. I said, you know what? Let's do this. It's a nice tree. You're gonna have to get it removed. Why don't I give you $250 for it? And we'll call it even. You don't call anybody. I don't call anybody. We're fine. She's like, okay. So in 3 minutes, I did a sales pitch on her to have her not call the cops on me. Gave her $250 because I had just made a whole bunch more at the last sale. Drove to the next house and sold 56 units at the next house with the front end of my car smashed in.
That is the best horror story I've heard. That is awesome.
So it's just like one of those whole parables of life that crap's going to happen. And Southwestern at that point had taught me enough about dealing with the little roller coasters that just solve it, just fix it, just get in there and get it done. And don't get stuck in, oh, I had an accident, poor me. I was like, hell no, I'm going to go sell some more. Let's go. I don't got time for this. Let's go.
I love that. Just on to the next. Like it's eating problems for breakfast and dinner and late night snacks, obviously. That's awesome.
Hey, all for the chatter.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to stop recording now